I know you think you're helping, but you're kind of making things worse.
Oh?
Let's take a trip down memory lane to the mid-2000s, early 2010 era. A time period where Cartoon Network was going through what I consider one of its driest time periods due to its abundance of live-action shows. You'd think a network called Cartoon Network wouldn't have less animated shows than live-action shows going on ever, right? Well, that can't really be said for this time period. It would have been one thing if these shows like Destroy, Build, Destroy, Dude, What Would Happen, and Bobby Says were actually well-received by critics and audiences, but none of them really were. And the show that, to me, kickstarted the whole live-action era was one of the worst of them all, as well as the worst show to ever hit Cartoon Network. Out of Jimmy's Head. Well there, Mark, that's an extremely bold claim for you to make. Well, I made it. It's just not good at all. Before I can fully delve into Out of Jimmy's Head, I need to at least briefly discuss its prequel movie known as Reanimated. This follows the main protagonist, Jimmy Roberts, going on a class trip to Golly World with his best friend Craig and the rest of his class. However, a freak accident involving him getting run over by a theme park train requires him to undergo brain surgery, where doctors transplant the brain of creator of Golly World and all its characters, Milt Appleday, into Jimmy's head to save his life. Now, Jimmy can see all the characters Milt created as if they were real people. He's also got to deal with Milt's insane son, Sonny. It's funny because he's the son, so his name's Sonny. Because Sonny wants his father's brain so he can gain fame as a cartoonist himself and take over the world? Sure, why not? The whole premise of these events are supposed to be a nod to the conspiracy of Walt Disney's head being frozen under Disneyland, with Milt Appleday being the Walt Disney of that universe. There's been other pieces of kids media that have poked fun at this conspiracy, like that one iCarly episode with the whole Charles Dingo head being held in the Dingo studio basement. This movie took the concept to the next level though. And while the concept of a kid being able to see cartoon characters in real life is pretty cool, at least to me, the execution was piss poor. Although the movie was not very well received, the universe of Jimmy Roberts was granted its own television series, now dubbed Out of Jimmy's Head, which was released in September of 2007, just under a year after the film released. The television series was created by Tim McKeon and Adam Pava, who also created the Reanimated movie, and it still focuses on Jimmy's misadventures with the various Appleday cartoons like Golly, Dolly, Tux, and Croco, with Sonny wanting to steal the brain. But with the setting mainly being Jimmy's middle school now. And it somehow managed to get worse, which I didn't think was humanly possible after the movie. Also, I want to make it clear that according to the Wikipedia, the cartoons are simply just hallucinations and not actually real. Milt was just insane, I guess, which is kind of dark when you think about it. What's really sad is this show is so low-key and not talked about that the only version of it that was available to download has half the show in English and half of it in Romanian.
În 59, micul Frankie Spad s-a uitat la chifteaua aia prea mult și a căzut la pământ.
Anybody in the comments care to translate what just happened for me? Jimmy's wacky family still plays a role in the show, kind of like it did in the movie. His father, the school guidance counselor, his mom, the astronaut, and Yancy, his adopted alien sister. Not gonna lie, I'm not sure what the purpose of making her an alien was for. Just for the sake of weirdness? I mean, because she literally acts like your typical teenage girl, just, you know, she has green skin and antennas. If she didn't have the green skin, you'd never know she was an alien since she just acts like the classic sitcom older sister. But I guess can occasionally use her alien powers just for laughs, like when she teleported that one time. It would have been cool if she played a bigger role so they could actually make use of her alien race, but they just didn't really do that. It was mostly just there for comedic purposes, and it was never really funny. The roles of Craig and his older sister Robin, aka Jimmy's crush, were completely recast in Out of Jimmy's Head. Previously played by Micah Carnes and Eunice Cho are now played by John Kent Etheridge II and Tinashe, who actually made a pretty decent name for herself after the show as a singer. Ever heard of the song 2 On that featured Schoolboy Q? That's her, believe it or not. Their last names were changed from Yoshida to Wheeler by extension due to this recasting. I couldn't find a reason why both of these characters were recast for the television series though. I always found that really odd. I remember seeing the promos for Out of Jimmy's Head before it released wondering who the heck these characters were because they weren't being name dropped in the promos, then being really confused when I found out that it was still Craig and Robin. The first episode of the series starts off super in your face too. I get it's a sequel series to a movie that's already existed for almost a year at that point, but there was zero type of recap on the events. They just started the episode with Jimmy at school with the Appleday cartoons, mainly Tux the Penguin causing a scene during a teacher's lecture. Also, what was with that horrendously unnecessary laugh track at the beginning when panning across from Craig to Jimmy?
And math quiz B is solved at a rate of 2.51 answers
What was funny? He was just sitting there yawning. The show has a tendency to just add in laugh tracks for random moments, even when characters are just talking. Like, the yawning itself isn't funny, but the horrible use of the laugh track is so bad, it's laughable. Yeah, I don't get how they thought starting an episode like this was a good idea, especially if kids around elementary school age is their target demographic. Kids who watch the original movie in passing likely wouldn't remember all the specifics on how Jimmy sees these cartoons. Hell, what about the kids who never saw the movie at all? You know, some recap would have been nice. They mentioned that later in class that he's got Milt's brain, but that's about it. Later, Jimmy's father announces on the intercom there's going to be a talent show, which Jimmy and Craig want to take part in. Mainly because Jimmy doesn't want to be seen as the freak with an old man brain by his classmates anymore. After a brief run-in with Robin, where Jimmy acts as awkward as humanly possible, I mean, I've never been a fan of the mega awkward kid trying to act cool in front of his crush, and the way they make Jimmy act in front of her is next level cringe, especially in this moment. The episode then just abruptly cuts from the kids at school talking about the talent show to Jimmy sleeping in bed with Sonny trying to extract the cartoons from his brain. What on planet Earth is this pacing? We are only 4 minutes into this episode, by the way. Technically less than that if you don't include the theme song as episode content. I forgot to mention that Sonny lives with the Roberts family because he rented a room out there. You know, this happened in the movie actually, thanks to his master manipulation skills. It's kind of sad how his father, the guidance counselor, a position that usually requires a master's degree, and his mother, the astronaut, can't figure out this psycho man is trying to more or less murder their child so he can become famous. At least we could say there's decent continuity in that aspect with Sonny still living in the house. You can tell all throughout this episode the writing is desperately trying to see Craig as the funny one of the duo between he and Jimmy, but he falls flat every time.
Oh, check it out. Oh. This is hot right now. It's just like, come on, get it.
To be clear, I'm not flaming John's acting skills. It's what the people behind the show are making him do for the episode. It's just that bad. When the talent show auditions begin, Tux wants Jimmy to use his material he made since he takes a lot of pride in his comedy, even though all his comedy is really just bad puns. I was never really a fan of pun comedy. So Jimmy proceeds to use the idea of Tux having bad material as material of his own, making fun of Tux for the sake of laughs. These jokes were also really bad. You know, poking fun at people in stand-up comedy can be good, but Jimmy just did these really corny rhymes at Tux's expense, kind of mixing his original idea to the rap on stage with comedy. Even the audience extras can't even let out a half-decent fake laugh because of just how bad these jokes are. The subplots with Sonny are arguably worse though. I thought the pacing earlier was insane, but these later scenes are just like, what is going on? While Sonny and Yancy argue about the TV, she unplugs Sonny's thought extracting machine that, get this, causes a rift to tear in their dimension, which the episode uses as a plot point for Tux to go away after Jimmy made fun of his act. Like, the episodes from the show are just throwing out insane scenarios in your face in each new scene to the point where it legit gives me a headache. Like, I just don't even know what's happening anymore. By the end of the episode, Jimmy is able to make amends with Tux because I guess he has control over the dimensional rift now and can come back whenever he feels like it. Can't even be surprised at this point with how overly random the show is with its dried slapstick humor and horrendous use of laugh tracks. Now, I'm not a film guy, but a show with this style of camera work, in my opinion, just doesn't fit with a laugh track style. It's got the same camera style as like Phil of the Future and Big Time Rush. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work to me. Imagine if Phil of the Future used laugh tracks in their episodes. Wouldn't it feel out of place to you? Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Even though Jimmy made a complete fool of himself on stage, I guess I can say it was nice how he just fully embraced having Milt's brain and not caring about what his classmates thought of him anymore. Plus seeing Robin join him on stage to make him feel less alone. Every episode from then on pretty much follows the same format, Jimmy getting into insane scenarios with the Appleday cartoons, then either Craig will have some subplot of his own, almost always an uninteresting one, and Sonny devises a new scheme to get Jimmy's brain and ultimately fails. Usually with the humor revolving around slapstick-esque jokes from the cartoons, usually bad slapstick at that. And I like slapstick, but this is just, it's not good. Or Jimmy having awkward encounters with his peers or surroundings because of these hallucinations. The animation for the cartoons themselves is okay, I guess. It kind of makes Flash style work, but I'm just not too huge on the designs of the tunes themselves. They're just not as appealing as their obviously inspired Disney counterparts. You know, you're gonna try and sit there and tell me that Golly and Dolly aren't based off Mickey and Minnie Mouse. You're like, come on now, it's so obvious. Some episodes made the cartoon aspects look really bad though. Like the Halloween episode when Jimmy kept seeing these ghostly figures. Holy crap, did that hurt my eyes to look at. Just look at the sequence of Golly and cartoon Jimmy dealing with this pair of floating teeth.
Oh, yuck! Ah! A ghost mouth!
And the episodes would always end on such strange notes, what felt like just forcing out a random gag just for a change of pace, when it just wasn't necessary. Like take a look at the very last scene of the last episode.
Dai bătaie, Robin.
I don't even know what the heck's going on because this is one of the Romanian episodes. They didn't have this one in English. I feel like with even more context, if the language was English, this would still feel equally insane to look at. The show had its fair share of notable guest stars, oddly enough, like Reed Alexander, who played Neville Papperman in iCarly, and out of Jimmy's head, he played Chester, who's essentially Neville when it comes to their personalities. They're both like equally crazy, just with a different name and in a different universe now. They even got Lil Romeo to appear as himself in the series finale, which wasn't even a real series finale, to be honest. Like, that episode could have been episode 10 instead of episode 20, and it wouldn't have made any type of difference. There were some reoccurring characters in the show that weren't part of the main cast that popped up from time to time, like that insane kid Jake who had this weird fixation on Craig. Look, I get he's supposed to be weird, but this kid made me genuinely uncomfortable with his dialogue and mannerisms. Like, watching this guy just be himself would make me think, yeah, this guy is gonna be a serial murderer in the future. Also, that Halloween episode hinted that Jake might not even really be human, as in the last scene when stuck in the closet with Craig, he turns into some kind of beast that Craig finds neat. His words, not mine. So do what you will with that information, I suppose. Out of Jimmy's Head was only greenlit for 20 episodes before getting canned. Even though it's only 20 episodes long, it's supposedly 2 seasons, with the first 13 episodes making up the first season and the last 7 making up the second. Supposedly this happened because of the 2007 Writers Guild America strike, which prevented the writers from being involved with post-production and editing of some episodes. Following the strike, Out of Jimmy's Head was not renewed for more episodes, which was definitely for the best in my opinion. Also, I'm not sure how valid this information on the strike is, because this blurb also stated the laugh tracks weren't added until episode 8, which I'm pretty sure is cap, because there's literally laugh tracks in the episodes before that.
Jimmy, can you imagine always being surrounded by animals like that?
I think I can, Dolly.
That's not edited, I swear. I think that was from episode 2. I'm not getting a huge kick out of crapping on the show or anything like that, to be clear, because I feel like this show did have potential, you know? It's a good concept. I think one thing the crew could have done better is give Yancey some kind of development, like eventually being able to attend public school and learning to fit in with the rest of society, or having her peers just accept her for who she is at school. Even just one episode dedicated to something like that would have been cool. But, you know, but nah. They just used her to act sharp towards others and never forget to remind us that she's an alien. Look, guys, she's got a werewolf boyfriend. How kooky is that? It's the same thing with the mom never taking off her spacesuit. Hey viewers, just in case you forgot, Mrs. Roberts is an astronaut. At the very least, I can say I respect the creators for doing a concept that hadn't really been done before. But it's just not for me, and clearly didn't click well with the general public either, which is unfortunate. If any of you out there liked the show or Reanimated, that's totally fine. I'm not gonna flame you for your interest, you know, I'm not, that's weird. I would be curious to see why some of you may like the show in the comments down below. I'm very curious to see. Also, let me know what you think of this new art that I got of my office. I'm probably going to be using this in a lot more of these discussion type videos, so hopefully you guys like it. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps out a ton. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Take care. Bye-bye.